Aristo Sham. I'm originally from Hong Kong, and I went to high school in the UK at Harrow School, and then afterwards I went to Harvard University in the States together with New England Conservatory, where I studied with Professor Victor Rosenbaum, and now I'm also in Sweden studying with Professor Julia Mustonen-Dahlqvist, and I'm moving here full time in September, and I've been coming here already for 3 years now. I started when I was 3 because my mother was a piano teacher, but she didn't want to give me lessons at first, but she was teaching at home in her office, and I would always go in and disturb her lessons. And so at one point she was just like, okay, yeah, sure, we'll give you some lessons. But at first I started with someone else because I wouldn't listen to my mom. But yeah, eventually I studied with her for maybe 2 years afterwards, and then I went to the Hong Kong Academy of Performing Arts when I was 6. Of course, this pandemic is a very difficult situation for many of us, and I'm just trying to find, the best possible things that I could do during this time and to take advantage of all this free time, because I was going to have many concerts in March and also in April, and then going into the summer. But of course now everything is canceled. So to keep myself in shape and to use this time wisely, I'm doing many projects on my own. So I'm doing a number of live stream concerts. So I'm currently in the middle of doing a lot of the major works of Chopin online, and then afterwards I would like to do the complete opuses for solo piano by Brahms. And so I think, yeah, I'm just trying to, use this time to learn as much as possible, to keep in shape, to become a better musician. Grateful here in Sweden with we have a lot of open space and a very beautiful nature and fresh air. And so other than practicing piano, there's many opportunities for going on walks in the forest, and because we're out here in Värmland in Arvika, and so we have a lot of open space, and it's very healthy to just go out for some time, not because we don't always have to be in the house because there's not so many people here, and so it's almost the most comfortable quarantine possible. This house, I'm living with 3 other pianists, all students of Julia. So we're also very lucky to have this possibility of social interaction every day. So at least we see other people every day, but also at least for the first 2 months of this pandemic, we decided that this house and also Julia's house with her family, we're going to do a joint quarantine. So we basically did not see anyone else for these 2 months, and just traveled between the 2 houses by car. And so we were doing concerts at her house and having lessons regularly with her. And yeah, I think this was also very important to sort of keep a sense of normal life. And yeah, we're very fortunate to do. I hope that the situation will stabilize, and more and more countries will open up, and of course with the safety precautions, and maybe we can do a little bit of traveling within Europe, but of course only if it's safe. And I mean, most of the live concerts now are canceled for all of summer. So I mean, for us, it's going to be mostly the same, just doing personal projects and I guess playing a lot online, or maybe for small audiences.
Mm.
Own personal Facebook, so just Aristo Sham. And then on the Ingesun Piano Forum as well, which is the page we have for the piano department here in Arvika. And then also on my personal Instagram, so aristo.sham. So I think competitions are a great way for pianists and musicians to grow, personally as well as professionally. I mean, of course, like, competitions are not always pleasant, and they can be, sometimes very corrupt, or um, just very poorly organized. But in general, I think I had most of my professional and personal development through going to many, many competitions, because every time it pushes me beyond my usual limits to do my very best. And I feel like every time I gained something from it that I wouldn't have been able to otherwise. And of course, we should be very careful which competitions we go to, and whether it suits us with the repertoire or like the situation of the competition. But in general, I think it is important for young musicians to compete and, meet professional people, and meet all our colleagues our same age as well. Also, I have kind of a long history of competitions. When I was very young, I did a lot of junior competitions, and I think I did my first competition when I was 5 in Hong Kong, very local, very small competition, and I did very terribly. I remember I was crying afterwards. And then my first kind of international competition I was 8 in Japan. I was just playing some, I think, 2 little Chopin pieces, but that was the start of it. And I really loved, like, sharing music with people around the world and traveling as well. So I went on to do a lot more, and I had my first big competition win. I did a couple more junior competitions and then stopped for many years. And then I only restarted doing major competitions when I was 21 again in 2017. And I started with doing Top of the World in Tromsø, and Clara Haskell, the Vendôme Prize at Verbier Festival. And after that, I went to Gina Bachauer, Dublin, and Honens, and many other competitions. So in our class and Julia's class here at Ingesund, we are quite very active professionally usually. So most of us are always preparing to some kind of project or competition, which I think is a very healthy environment, because it's sort of intense competition between the classmates, but it's always like we're trying to work together to make everyone better. And so I always love playing for different professors in different masterclass, because it's so rewarding to hear just so many different ideas and opinions of all these great teachers. And I remember some very good masterclasses. Not long ago in February, I had a masterclass with Pavel Nersessian from Boston and Moscow, and he was very enlightening. He's a very huge personality of a musician, and I really learned a lot from that. And that was the most recent best memory of a masterclass. I think the best advice for this, for being a young musician in this current pandemic, is just to, we rarely have the time to disconnect so much. And so the best thing we can do is to, find within ourselves our real, like, musical voice, and then, of course, and getting to know all this different music. And I think with each new piece I learn, the more I understand about myself as a musician and what I really want to do with the music. And so I think this process is really valuable for everyone.
Yeah.
well, two of the best books. One would be one of my friends who is editor of Pianist magazine, Eric Scones. He wrote this book about like Zen musicality called Walking Up the Mountain Track, and he has all these interviews with all these great pianists like Marie-Jean Pires, and then I think Martha also kind of endorsed the book. And it's very interesting to see how all these people treat this way of it's a very difficult career that we're all going into with music, and how people develop themselves and how to keep themselves sane and always looking towards the positive. I've never cooked before in my life, but now I'm actually learning how to, and sometimes I realize how fun it can be, and how much you can tailor it to yourself, because all my life I'm just eating at restaurants, and now I realize actually how easy it is to do some of this food myself, and maybe even better. And I mean, also I found that because I was always traveling so much, especially in the past 3-4 years, and only like living in dormitories, and before that with my family, and now I'm realizing actually how much, or even like cathartic it is to just clean the kitchen. It's like something as simple as that is a very enjoyable experience. We have some online classes for school. So actually, I just graduated from NEC right now in May. So, but most of my classes this semester were chamber music classes. So I could not do them online, obviously, because it just doesn't work to play. I did Brahms Haydn variations with myself on recording, and it was actually so difficult. I recorded maybe like 6-7 hours for that, for the 15-minute piece, and it's just finding all the timing and all the phrasing and with yourself on a video is so difficult. And for another class I also did this was a bit easier because it had a very stable meter. I did Bach Viola da Gamba Sonata in G minor with a friend, and so we could put them together, but still it took a lot more time than I expected, but it was a really fun experience. We have 3 uprights, that all of which I got for free. They were all donated from different people because they want to get rid of them. But we also have one room open at the school that's only for us 4 living in the house, so no one else is allowed to go in there. And there are Steinway grands there, so we're very lucky.